Welcome, everybody. Welcome to BeoTalk 272.
That's right, and I'm still not ready after all.
It's okay. I was late too.
There we go. I'll get
Some
some light
people
up
were
here.
over and like go. I still need to shower and things and
It's
like get out.
funny. There we go.
And so I was finally ready at like quarter till, and
And I
that's
was
it.
just ready now. Such.
So jolly good. If you want something nice, go to Skinny Play, buy yourself a cover, get 10% off. Uh, Promo code will be in the chat again. As per usual, come and join our Discord. Because BNO is now on our Discord for the app development team and the software peoples. So that's always a good thing. So if you have weird issues that you're being told that only you have, at least somebody will read them. You won't be the only one anymore.
That's right.
We're on Twitch still, which I'll probably change over to Rumble at some point. But like, subscribe, that helps out a lot. And if you want to have us keep the lights on or help me chip in for some paint for the house.
For the studio.
Yeah, super chat goes a long way. And yeah, thank you. Welcome. Get in. Let's get into it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll get to it if we can and if we are allowed to, etc. And like and such. But I'm repetitive now. How was your week?
It was interesting. We had the Beolab 8s for the training, so I finally got to listen to them, get
This
to
is where
hold
you
them,
press play and pause.
and it was it's pretty neat. I like them. Obviously we had the pre-production set, so there are a couple things that are going to be hashed out, like the wishbone that I found. Like, bro, that's not going to last long, especially like, let's say you have these speakers on the wall for a few years and you're moving. That plastic, in my opinion, is brittle enough that that's going to be the last time that they're coming off, and you're going to have to get a special a replacement part for that.
Yeah,
But
plus I doubt they want to stock all that little shit.
no, and also I found, like the big back cable covers are, again, pre-production models, so they're a little flimsy. They're supposed to be a little bit different on the final product.
Mm-hmm.
My suspicion is that they're going to strengthen up the magnets that are there and maybe do a little bit of a Tessa lining. So even though they are in contact with the surface, there's no possibility of them to rattle per se. But other than that, they're very impressive. They are very, very impressive. And apparently now they tune the grill out of the acoustic imaging, because obviously when you put the wood on it, it's quite a bit of density on it for the sound to go through versus just fabric covers. But yeah, other than that, like, very nice, adjustable. But I think that adjustability or ease of it is almost dangerous. Especially, I think if you would have, younger children. I'm not saying like 2, 3 years old, but like a 10-year-old, or with the curious fingers. I think that then you're risking even dropping the speaker off the stand. So
Oh
I think
wow,
that
it's not secured with a set screw or something.
no, that's the problem. That it's secured only with that little clip, and sometimes you can, just can fudge it out. So, we had
Wow, everything else like 317s, etc., all had set screws.
the only set screw that there is on it, more or less. It's not even a set screw. It's a little knob that's coming out of the wedge. If you're familiar with the Beolab 17 floor stands,
Mm.
the little bottom wedge that you put the pipe in, and then the wedge goes in with the screw, and more it tightens
Yeah.
more it wedges the pipe and holds it. Now there is a retaining hole that wedge has a little thing coming out. So I don't know. For me, I would
There's a
cut.
very bad joke in there somewhere.
Uh, yeah, but you know what? I don't think is funny that if, like, they're saying you can cut the pipe down, right?
Once, yeah.
Well, you can cut it a couple times, depends on what the length you really want. But the problem that I see with it as an installer, no matter how good your tools are, you'll never be able to cut it as precisely as the factory cut does.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way. And for that, which I think that they had thought of it, and it's gonna be coming with the pipes, there should be a little plastic template. So you cut the bottom instead. You leave the top at pristine finish. You cut the top or bottom to whatever length you want that speaker stand to be at. And then you put the template on and you drill the aluminum for that hole where the retainer pin goes in from the wedge. That would be perfect. So then you have a very clean finish, because it's the same principle like on a BeoVision 7, 10, whatever floor stands, even the Avant, that little top plate is just it's a machine,
a little disc
aluminum.
with
It's a sticker.
stuff.
It's a sticker. Essentially, it's a machine aluminum sticker. So it's obviously a little thicker on the 8s, but I think that if you are going to cut that thing, you have to cut it from the bottom in order to retain the.
Yeah, but if the cut is slightly
edge
off, you're gonna see that every time you walk by.
Of course. So that's why I'm always go from the bottom, because you'll never see that again.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
cats are doing
that's
things.
fine. The photobomb in the podcast for once. So that also, I guess, as far as the experience of connecting it, it was a little bit of a surprise, because we got them. I should have not assumed that they were not factory reset from the other showroom or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And also in the meantime, between the last demo that they did and our demo in our shop, there's a software update that was rolled out for them. So I had to update all 4 speakers, then pair them together as stereo, and then pair them to the theater, and then off we went with a couple speaker or listening positions. But as far as the manufacturing, very, very smart and sleek. It looks like there's a lot of aluminum, but there isn't, and I like that intermodularity, and you could essentially potentially change colors with years to come and keep the speaker the way it is. It's much more easier, or I think it's the easiest color swap that I had seen. This is not something that you're gonna find on YouTube as a video, but it's very, very simple.
Who knows?
Soon enough, right after they come out.
I should take inspiration from John's videos and this is how you replace a battery.
So, but yeah, they are very impressive. They are very, very impressive. They're a much better sounding 17, is what I would say. Even though the driver's smaller, the bass output is insane. And that's, of course, it goes to the years of advancement in acoustics, if you think about it, right? Like 17s have been around since 2012. So these better be better, and they are. I honestly have no idea how they're doing the narrow and wide modes, but it sounds sick.
Yeah, it's obviously a fake DSP thing.
Yeah, but they sound really, really good. I was very impressed by them. I'm looking forward to seeing them in the field, because we're going to sell quite a bit of them. I honestly would prefer them to a set of 18s as the rear channels. Buck for power.
Well, yeah, that's with a lot of things post 18s, right?
Yeah. They don't have the sexy, but they do have the sexy. Like if you have them on the wall, or even if they sit on a table stand, let's say if you have like a credenza or something, behind the couch where you can't afford to put them, even further out, because you can have them WiSub connected. They do look beautiful, man, and I love how smart the stand program is. Obviously, there are some things that, in my opinion, should be worked out. Definitely put a safety screw on the stand, where they come in, because they basically just hinge in. If people are familiar with how they used to hang their Avant 55, 75, or 85, where it just came in under a slot, and it just comes in, and there's 2 screws. Well, I think there should be those 2 screws, because that's just the clips. So that is my first impression, I guess, off the speaker. Very, very nice. Yeah, I agree with you, Michael, too. Considering that I would move the fronts as 18s, because definitely that helps the theater then with you don't have to do as much fakery and David Copperfield nonsense out of them.
Yeah, and that only works if you're really in the middle anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Like
I am, so and I
yeah.
like got like perfect distance, bro. It's sick. It's sick.
But once my living room is ready, there's no way I can always sit directly in the middle. But then again, I have so many speakers, it doesn't really matter. I
Yeah.
mean,
So definitely.
at the widest point where I'll be sitting, I'll still have a speaker behind me, like 2.5 meters behind me, 3 meters behind me.
Hmm. See,
So,
the only thing for me, like again, they are gonna be delayed. I think at least 30 more days from what the rumor has, because they just again did not anticipate the volume of interest versus plant production, which to me is silly. Uh, I'm glad that they didn't do that with the theater, because theater was really a big hit and they were ready for it in a way. There was not major delays, but for the elite lab aids, I don't know if they're doing it just for the sake of their, books and whatever, for the investors to keep quiet and be happy. But yeah, I don't know, you know,
I find it so hard to believe how you do all this market research and then you're so sure that you know exactly what the customer wants and then get it wrong every time.
yeah.
Because it's not like we don't tell B&O, and often essentially it's like, no, we know best because we know our customers and we have so much data. And then it's like, oh, we got that wrong. It's like, wait, what?
So yeah, I don't get it, man.
Like, we
But
don't have the data and we're just feeling where the wind goes. And apparently that's more accurate.
yeah, these I think are gonna be a big hit as far as the speakers are concerned, especially with the theater, because then it's not as far of a stretch to go to the 18s, cost wise.
Hmm.
Yes, once you start, putting the Barbie doll on and dresses, then it's gonna be more expensive, right? Because if you want to go with either gold, I think, or obviously wood or cloth, that's a big difference in pricing, and then what stand program you're gonna go with will dictate as well. I haven't gotten to see the wall bracket because apparently that wasn't really ready. They just had a couple of them for the Cedia, so too bad, feels bad. But
The ceiling bracket, you mean, or the wall bracket?
the wall bracket, the ceiling bracket is basically the same as the upside down stand, but a little different. As far as it's got the same as the wall bracket. I think it has the room to accommodate the actual voltage plug, because they finally consider that as far as building these things legally into the people's homes. And
Interesting.
yeah, I
They
wonder how
use a
long
lot
it's
of
going to take.
flat plugs here, which is
What do you mean
interesting.
flat plugs?
Where like the power connector's on a 90 degree.
Yeah, not here. And all the B&O stuff comes out with this unbelievably long mains connector at like the figure eight. It's
Yeah.
very, you can barely plug it into the 18s. It's so thick. So I'm not a biggest fan of that. The cables are hidden in the stands, guy. Yeah, they are exactly like the lap threes. You can only see a little bit of it at the back coming in. Obviously, you'll see a little bit more of it than you saw on the threes, because the threes stands were, a little different. Unless you had the table stands, those didn't really have the pipe holes to go the wires through.
Yeah,
But
like
no, it's very nicely done. It's very nicely done. Oh yeah, these are. But some of these you can't plug into the B&O speakers.
no, I understand, but like you can get them with both ends differently, right? Like, but a lot
Hmm.
of them are the wall adapters are like 90 degrees. Like everything for a fridge is 90 degrees. Almost all appliances are 90-degree fittings like this.
No, we get them straight out and straight in from
I mean,
B&O as
I
far as they come in the
obviously
boxes.
moving here, I needed some extension cords because like all my European ones don't work.
Yeah, it ain't good.
And almost all of the extension cords by default come with like these 90-degree fittings on them.
It's probably just the US market. It's not like that here.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in Canada, let alone even Montreal. Like, yes, you can buy them in the specialty stores, but it's not something that you can see everywhere. It's not commonly. And another thing is that it's dumb in Montreal, not even Montreal, Quebec altogether, that they have the power plugs upside down. So all the North American power bars you get, when you have those 45-degree angles, so you plug it in with the ground on the bottom or
Yeah.
facing the bottom. Well, here the ground is on the top, so the freaking extension cord goes up and down, right? I have to
Ye-
rotate that plug because it bothered the piss out of me, so I can have it go to the TV. It's just silly, man. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles in Quebec.
Yeah,
I
no,
understand the logic behind it, but I don't agree with it.
I don't know. It's just very normal here that it's. I don't know. It must be US thing.
Yeah, it's here. No, everything comes with. The only thing that comes with a right angle plug is LG TVs and Samsung. Anything else from B&O comes with the default made in one of those Oriental countries cords. That is every single one is 3 meters, bro, and you don't need 3 meters. Usually, you don't need 3 meters.
No, I actually bought short power plugs for my 50s, and even the short ones are still way too long.
Mm,
Because I mean, I put the power plugs exactly behind, or the outlets exactly behind where the speakers are going to be,
mm.
so I don't have to look at them from every angle.
Circle back to the eights. I like the top glass plate, but I kind of, sort of, not really, but I do appreciate the plate on the top on the 28s because you don't see the fingerprints. This is going to be the same mucky thing look like the theater does if you actually are operating it hands on. But
So go to our Discord and upvote the cleaning setting in the app, please.
yeah, that's what I was also mentioning, that it should be considered as a cleaning mode app to disable the buttons.
Yeah, in
Uh,
the B&O engagement tab in the Discord, I think in the feature requests for the app, there's one for cleaning, because I mean freestanding theaters are a pain to clean.
yeah, yeah, you gotta damn well unplug it before you do anything,
Yes.
or set it through the app to reboot itself, and while its buttons are flashing and they're inactive, then you can clean the glass in the meantime.
I guess it's okay if you go from right to left with cleaning, because you can only go softer on volume.
Yeah, but then you end up with your my button one, right?
Sure,
After
but then
selecting all the rest.
you do
then
quickly.
then the theater crashes. Fudge. But yeah, I like the glass top. It looks really nice on the Lab 8s. It's very elegant speaker. Very elegant look. I really like it. I think they've done a very good job with it. It matches the theater perfectly, honestly. And we had in two pairs, so fronts and backs with the theater solo, no sub, nothing added. Pretty impressive.
What are they called? Is it tier 0 dealers or tier 1? The people like Harrods and stuff will get them first, and the B&O owned stores, I think.
Why would the Harrods or like Holt Renfrew get them? I do not understand. I think those
Because we're after the
brands.
very high net worth individuals.
Yeah, but those, you know what? No disrespect to those shops, but people that work in them have no idea how to even have P&O displayed. Because
Yeah, but
I've been
nor
to
do the
these stores.
customers, and they just give me some of that,
Fuck,
give
man.
me some of that.
I guess, but it's just like if you can't even properly demo the product, like what's the point of showing it? You
I
know?
do think a few guys from Knightsbridge went to Harrods once Harrods became a B&O dealer,
Hmm.
but I'm not entirely sure. They may have left again. Who knows? Then again, I'm not in London that often, but apparently it's worth it. It'll probably be like the New York store will probably get them before everybody else.
Hmm.
Ralph says the tall stands are half the cost of the speaker itself. Really? Wow.
Wow, I don't know. I honestly don't know the price point of all the accessories yet, so I can't comment on that. But
I surely hope not.
they better be motorized at that point, I guess, because like the floor stand for the theater is 6 G's Canadian, so whatever it is, and not our funny money, but that was more or less over a half of what the theater cost at the time.
I mean, the table stand is £350 British. I think that's really expensive for a stand for what it is, essentially.
Mm,
Wait, so in Britain it's £750 for the floor stand for one. That's decent chunk of money,
That's steep, yeah.
especially if you
That's
still have to
fifteen
cut it
hundred
if you don't
pounds.
want the standard length.
For that money, I would have the dealer cut it.
Yeah.
You know, you fucked them up.
Max says, remember, Apple sold an aluminium motor stand or a monitor stand for $1,000. Yeah, but that's
Fair point.
Apple. Like, they knew that was absurd, right? They didn't sell this as like a good investment or something. This was like, you can buy this $4,000 monitor. If you wanted to sit on anything, pay us another 1,000.
Yeah, and you pay for the design and prestige of having it, right? And I think that's the same thing with the B&O nowadays. I think that's their positioning, that we're going for the luxury, and luxury stands no cost, right?
If
So
if we're truly going for the luxury, I hope that the software is really fucking solid from the get go, and that the delay is for those sorts of things, right? Because you cannot aim for luxury and go like Harrods first and New York store first and that sort of thing, and then go, well, you guys are still beta testers.
fair enough.
I mean, even though I don't think this is their full on luxury speaker, but it's not cheap compared to a lot of other things. I mean, if you just want a lot of sound, right, because you like sound, you can get a whole cap system with amps and everything that's 5.1 for a similar price. Like, yes, you don't have to design, but I mean, so just to put in perspective, like it's not a cheap speaker. It's a cheap speaker for B&O.
It's an entry point speaker now.
Yeah. So I'm not saying the price point is necessarily wrong, but it must function properly. Like we can't have
No,
that.
I
Like,
completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. I don't think that the Mozart platform suffers as much on the audio side of things as on the video side of things with the theater. I think theater suffers much more crippling problems than the eights will ever have, or let's say 28s have nowadays, or emerges with balances or whatever in stereo pairing. Those I've rarely, if ever, have people come back with the problems now. The software's solid, and they're all in the 3.2.1 now.
well, so with speakers like these, you can always just have them on PowerLink and avoid the whole Mozart deal. Like, never interact essentially with the software.
The only thing that I don't think that they really have worked out yet, which they should, is automatic updates on stereo paired speakers.
Yes.
Because if the master updates first, or primary, let's say, updates first, it reboots, then the secondary cannot connect to it anymore because it doesn't recognize it, even though it sees it, and it doesn't connect to the default home network, but it still tries to connect to the stereo pairing network of the primary speaker. So I think that it should push the software first to the secondary, let that thing reboot, and then primary should update itself, let itself reboot, and then they reharmonize and shake hands, whatever it has to happen in the background, and Bob's your uncle, you got your stereo set back. Which that's the one of the drawbacks that I've seen with our installations, that it's not our fault, right? But it's also, how do you tell the client, oh, in case this happens, you just need to undo the stereo pair, and at that point it's easier to just factory reset both bloody speakers and do it all over again, right? Because the primary doesn't let you separate the secondary based on the fact that it's not compatible with the software version. So that's a little bit of a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
However,
automate it
it's just,
or push it out to the secondary.
yeah, I think it should be secondary first, primary second. That's the way that it should be, as far as the software updates for stereo paired speakers. Because even with the eights, I've done them. When I updated the primary and the secondary, I had to reset and whatever. No, I don't have anything stereo paired, Ralph. I'm talking more or less in the shop and the customer's experience. I don't really I'm living in a studio, brother, with the theater and 18s. I already got complaints enough. I don't need to stereo pair emerges in my bathroom or something just to be ridiculous about it. Fuck. I don't. I just have one emerge in the bathroom
How
and
can you survive when you're in like your bathroom and Pink Floyd is on and the tuk 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 isn't going there? It's just tuk 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 tuk.
I don't hear it. But if I do need to hear it, I'll take my Beosound Explorer Ferrari,
Wash with your portals on.
the workhorse. That's right. So yeah, it's
Get some shower headphones.
shower headphones. I don't need those, bro. I'm fine. I'm
After like a
fine with the
year, you have
emerge.
like this one streak in your hair that's like super gross because you never wash it.
No, the emerge does more than enough in the bathroom. The only thing that I wish for that, for some reason, I don't know why it's not possible, but Sonos had come out with a solution to it, is to sound synchronization from the HDMI or video sources through the BeoLink or network link. Sonos can do it for some reason with their, $300-400 speaker, whatever, sound bars. I do not understand why now a $13,000 premium product cannot synchronize, let's say, a goofy YouTube video or anything from one side to the room to the other with the same speakers. It does perfectly on the audio side, I guess, but no.
Maybe
So,
it must be processing power, surely, because it's not like the lag is 60 milliseconds, it's 330. It's
well, I
quite a
gather
lot.
the answer is because for some reason, I think Sonos figured out how to control the timing on the HDMI ARC output, I guess, or figure it out, what, I don't know, where B&O doesn't have that computing power as far as the software development or per se negotiations and agreements with the companies.
Hold on.
So,
Sorry, I'm getting a call text because apparently we picked out a paint yesterday and I wanted to buy it for the kitchen and the missus was like, no, no, I need to check. And she took one of these swaths, right? And she put it up
oh,
against the wall. And this morning, it's like, where is it? It's like, you remember, right? The edge isn't caulked. So it's probably fell between the countertop and the wall.
oh no. So you gotta go get another one. Fucking hell.
Yeah, and now she's at the at the store. Just like, what do I buy? What do I buy?
So Ralph says, what about 28s connected to a theater wireless? Do you need to stereo pair? Uh, Default B&O's recommendation is always have them stereo paired, because then the speakers know which one's left and which one's right. I personally, in my experience, we don't have them stereo paired in the theater and they work fine. I don't advise doing it because you don't really have them as a stereo pair per se when your TV system is turned off. So you are not able to play them in stereo. You're just going to play them one by one, which is weird. First of all. Second of all, if you're playing individual Beolab 28, the Beosonic part of the app is non-existent. It doesn't work. So I would recommend always stereo pair them. Even, if you have a wireless and you can wire it in between the speakers, do that. Uh, Depends where you live. If you're in the apartments or heavily populated and Wi-Fi dense areas, I would definitely recommend wiring them. If you wire them PL to whatever output that you are using, I don't think you need to pair them at all. I think they would. I don't think they even need to sit on the network personally, but I would still update them proper and keep them online. But I wouldn't bother stereo pairing if they're just used as a dumb speaker, unless you want them to be used individually from independent from being plugged into, let's say, a Beosound core or not. I don't understand the logic behind that. So why would you even have the core plugged into them if they're all on their own? It's more or less older systems. Like if you have a Beosystem 3 or Beosystem 4 that you purchased, by the way, the lap 8s are not going to be in the software update for those, so that stays, I think, in the yesteryears of time. I don't know what equivalent. I think 17s is what you could pick but I don't know what they will show. I think they'll show as other on the WiSA. If you're doing wirelessly, if you're doing wired, then you can lie to the system by telling them they're 17s. Anyways, I digress. So, but BNO recommends stereo pairing them regardless of what you use them in even if it's a WiSA mode. And I didn't really see any difference as far as the experience of pairing them uh, without being stereo paired between one another to the theater versus just having them paired as left and right stereo paired to the theater via WiSA with one another. I didn't see any difference in parity in you know, that something would drop out and whatever.
Why would it though? Look, I mean, when I had 28s, like the secondary would drop all the time for some reason, and it still worked fine over PowerLink, which is no different essentially than WiSA.
Well, and I think that this is the only way. If it comes to the Mozart platform speakers, I think the only way is, and I think Steve should start making or consider making these cables.
WiSA cables?
If he doesn't, no. If you want to bypass the lag inside the
line in, yeah,
the line in input, you can use the PowerLink input, but you just need to bring I think it's pin 3 and 7 that turns on the trigger,
mm-hmm.
and then you're set. I don't know why your camera is glitching out on my side like very hard. I don't know what's going on.
Seems okay on my end.
Yeah, weird. Anyways, so
meow down.
So yeah, so that's my experience as far as the.
I guess I mean, you should probably do it just in case you ever touch the top, and then that you don't end up with mono speakers and stuff like this.
They didn't break nothing and didn't fix nothing, Stefan. He's asking what the BNO broke this week. Well, we'll see what they fix. Somehow the app is gonna be, I guess, addressed to very quickly. So we'll see.
Yeah, regular sources are coming back and stuff like that, and
yeah, it's and also the naming standard. Like I was reading on the Discord that, and I've seen it that you name it Apple TV or like we name it here Illico or whatever Bell TV, and then it just says STB or this and that, whatever type number or generic US Motorola. It doesn't rename the sources within the app versus based on what they are named in the sources connected portion of the app when you rename them. Oh, it stopped tripping. That's good news. So yeah, I wish that there was at least an internal announcement for the app and the updates that are imminent instead of just finding it out on a job site.
It's on Discord. Come join the Discord.
No, but I understand that. But internally, like, not many people from our shop are on the Discord. I would say I'm the only one. And it's just, why do you have to find out from outside where, we're on the inside for that, for God's sakes. Like, that should have been communicated in a big fat ass newsletter saying, hey, we're about to Hiroshima the fucking app. So be ready for some phone calls, because the changes that they've done was not really they were changes that were more or less unnecessary. I do appreciate the changes to the network link as far as the connected speaker tabs and all that. It gets a little bit overwhelming in the store with the app, because obviously we have a lot of equipment there that is connected on the network, but it's something that is very, very sensible for in-home use as far as the app is concerned. It does crash. It crashes at certain things. Like if I'm pairing a remote to the theater per se, it crashes the app. I've seen on iPads that you can only use it in vertical. If you go to horizontal, it just goes straight to hell. You have to restart the app. So yeah, there's still, I would say,
number 7,
not good.
Ability to lock touch panel Mozart devices.
Yeah, that should be available, man. I think honestly that in my opinion, it should be to the point where you just have the only thing you have lit up on the theater is the Bang and Olufsen logo. That's it. The rest should be not even glowing if you disable it. It shouldn't be even there. The logo should light up as you come up to it, and that's it.
Question from Harry March, slightly different. Hello, if you have a minute, would you please comment on a silly question I have regarding the 7.2? I know it's ancient, not in B&O terms. It's quite, I don't know, it's middle-aged now. It's not old. But does it do any fake surround sound with my Sony TV, or does it sound okay? The speaker will never do the surround sound weird.
Ever.
It's the TV that will do that, if at all. So
With
if it does that, it's a Sony
algorithms.
setting.
Yeah, it's not something that you're not going to be expecting Atmos out of something that has 3 front firing channels. Well, 2 front firing and 2 downward firing woofers. It's just a very, very good stereo speaker. 7.2 is tuned better than the 7.1 for speech, but it's never going to do anything crazy.
Well, it's also, if it does do something crazy, it's not the speaker doing it. It's whatever is sending the signal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no processing in this other than this frequency goes to this driver, that to this driver, and how loud. That's all it does.
That's right.
It's not a smart speaker that does things. It just produces sound. That's all it does, and it's still a very good speaker.
It does it very well. Yeah, it's a 750 watt combined, output in wattage. So, which means nothing to the newer side of speakers because how fast or how good the digital amplification involved, and also the driver quality and everything else, then you can abuse it furthermore than you could ever do that
driver
before.
Sensitivity,
and also the sensitivity. There's a whole more than a decade worth of advancement since that speaker was introduced, as far as the B&O amplification research is concerned.
Well,
let alone the filters and crossovers.
There were these. God, I showed them. I forget the name now, but these speakers were, I think, quite nice looking. But they were 10-inch full range drivers, which is insane, right? For a 10-inch driver to be full range.
Mm-hmm.
But they were so sensitive that you can make them push something like 85 dB with a 5-watt amplifier.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you tell your buddies, like, my speaker has 5 watts, it's like, it's like headphones? It's
right.
like, well, it's still 90 dB at a meter, right? Which is still crazy loud.
Yeah. But yeah, those specs have changed tremendously as far as the readouts like that go in the modern world of technologies of sound creation and amplification, more or less.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, other than that, in the app, the source selection's very cumbersome, I have to say. It shows every source there is in the TV, even though you had removed them from the B&O remote list and uninstalled the app in my case. They do show up for some weird reason. I don't know why is that a ghost in the machine. But I don't really use the app that much, quite honestly. When I'm home, I turn on the YouTube or Amazon Prime that I watch, or we watch Netflix here and there, and or Plex, or I actually go to the media app in the TV and watch the movies off the USB stick.
Yeah.
Which the quality of those is insane compared to what you stream.
Well, yeah, because streaming is super lossy.
Yeah.
Like even in a video.
You can especially see it in the scenes that are black. Like the pixelation, like you got these like freaking, like it's like kitchen backsplash tile size, man. They're just poof on the phone. Like, what is that? And that's just that there's
missing
not enough
data
info.
Is what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And in the worst case scenario, if it's not that, then it's the panel.
No, it's not the panel. It's mostly data for me here, obviously, because it's the panel. It's a G2 Pro. It works very well. It's actually, I think, the best TV I've owned so far as the picture quality goes. Once I gotten over the fact how dark the blacks are in the OLED, because there is none. There is no, the color bleed is, or the light bleed is not existent from the backlit LCD technology, right? So where
Yeah.
it's still like that darkish gray, but not really completely black. B&O done a great job all the way up to the Avant 50 or Avant new series with the contrast screen, but yeah, it doesn't hold a candle when it comes to the LG panels and the OLED technology. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy the app is sort of coming back to life again, but I kind of don't understand why we needed to go this way to begin with, right? Like, why did it have to be nuked for like a month?
I think it's more or less like an unnecessary argument that leads to a breakup that you come back together afterwards because you don't have no choice.
Yeah.
And that's because you really don't have a choice. If you want to use a product, you have to go back to the app,
I
and
don't
hopefully
understand it. Like,
I
sure.
think it's the most dangerous thing that they play with as far as messing it up, because that's the only interface that you have with the product. Because I don't know many people that walk up to their whatever Beosounds and touch them a lot. Maybe sometimes in the ringing phone sense of panic, you go in and you turn it down or whatever. But usually it's done through the either remote control or your app, or if you're doing AirPlay from the phone, like you never really touch the product. You only touch the remote control to it.
My BSM 2 is in the kitchen now, and I touched that.
A
Today was
lot.
the first time I used the app to change volume.
Mm. No, Beosound 2 is kind of no brainer to touch, and it's kind of satisfying, that magnetic clicker. It's sick. Sick.
Yeah,
I like
the
it.
ring is nice. It's still there's a weird lag in the volume versus turning, but
Hmm.
so you have to be a bit careful that way. But I mean, it's also the only Beano running, but where it is, like it's in a path where you keep on walking to the living room back. So whenever you're there, you can turn it on, up, down, etc.
Hmm. See, I would still have an Essence remote that is beside it.
I haven't, yeah, but it's packed up still somewhere.
Oh, you gotta dig it out. But yeah, it's. I think that the app is a very dangerous play, because a lot of people, even if you don't use it on daily basis, you still resort to it at some point to change music in the Deezer per se, or do any modifications, especially when a theater. There's a lot of ingredients to make a nice pie. So
Wouldn't it almost be more dangerous if you don't use it on a daily basis? Like if you use it rarely, because you come then to it and it's like, what the hell happened here?
oh, it probably would be more dangerous. But then again, I think what the shock of the change is still severe if you think about it. Like for me, it was like, what the fuck just happened here? Like the app changed, right? And like, okay, so I like this interface, I like that interface, but then I went when I was, just listening to tunes, uh, and it was in now playing. It just says TV. Now it didn't say now playing from YouTube like it used to. And then I'm okay, so let's just play Deezer, and I tap, and there's no Deezer. I'm like, okay, well that's a non-deterministic source, I guess. Uh, which I don't even know how that word exists. I'm gonna look it up
The
actually.
only non deterministic source I can think of is the live TV tab. Because I have no idea what it does. It's in the Beosound Theater itself, because it doesn't come from the panel. But when you press it, nothing happens. Like, it's weird.
So non-deterministic means producing a different result each time the same piece of data is entered. Isn't that also insanity?
What?
The calculus is non-deterministic because the substitution mechanism does not follow any strategy for fetching resources from arguments. In theory of computation, a non-deterministic finite state machine is one where where there may be several possible next states.
Yeah, I understand that, but what was doing that? Nothing.
I can kind of see what they're saying within the bio living intelligence part of things, but I don't see that in any way being conflicting in the app.
No. Like I never even had that with Deezer. Like whenever I logged everything off and pressed my button again, it would start at the last song played.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had that mis misdirect.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I wonder what they found that did that to begin with.
Somewhere in the Mozart, I guess. Holy shit! Thanks, Mark.
Thank
Much
you,
appreciate
Harry.
it. Much appreciated. Oh boy. So yeah, it's I don't know what to tell you. Non-deterministic. I think somebody just came out from lunch break and heard a big word somewhere and is like, "We're gonna use that. I don't give a shit what it costs."
Well,
And
it's
they,
developer talk, and I understand now what it means, and it makes sense with the explanation, but I just can't think of anything that actually did that.
no.
Like,
And I think they now have introduced these non-deterministic sources because my app is now full of garbage that I had deleted a long time ago and hidden from the BeoRemote 1 list, yet it shows up in there
you get
like
a
the
Q
bad
play, and
conscience.
you get a
Yeah.
Q play.
Everybody gets a Q play, and I don't even know what it is. Like,
all this only available in China stuff is still there.
like why? Why do I have a USB-C as a feasible input on
Because
my
it's the
theater?
line in.
But then I also have a line in.
Yeah, then I don't know.
So which one is the non-deterministic source? Tabarnak. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, but even like so, the non-deterministic part is that if you tap it, that something different happens every time you tap it, which is also not the case. So
yeah,
how is it not
called
deterministic?
The next button. That's called a next and previous button. That's what's happening when you tap that. Something next happens. Like, I don't get it. I do not get the dual line in. I don't think there's a dual line in, bro. But yeah.
You can only find that position on Cornhub. Dual line in.
And we're canceled. So yeah, it's I don't know, like we've had number of theaters plugged in that way, and I don't know, they work, but the delay sucks because you can't do anything about that, especially like running a Savant system that runs in-ceiling speakers out of the Savant amplifier, and you want to have the theater joined in the same time. Not possible to do, and there's no bypass.
So you have to buy like a delay box or something for that Savant system.
Yeah, but then you have to delay each speaker out individually, right? Because like as an amplified signal, I don't know. I think it is possible, but I don't know how you do that. So
charge your phone on your theater.
I had plugged in my phone through USB-C, and the only thing it has done is detected it as a charger. As far as the theater was concerned, I could not play into it. I couldn't do anything else with that USB-C, other than whatever it's promised in the future use, as it's a very standard terminology and sticker on P&O's connectors that will never get used.
No.
I don't think they should have ever gone with the USB-C for a line in, but that's just my onion. They should have stayed with the same input socket that the stage has, which was line in / optical. I think that would have made more sense. It would also be, in my opinion, more welcoming to other branded TVs, where I find that the CEC handshake and the whole ARC agreement between the TV and the theater is more or less not the best of relationships. So sometimes you have to power cycle one or the other, but
yeah, that's also a question. Was it a fully wired USB-C? Because if it came from a phone charger, it probably wasn't.
No, this was I guess, fully wired USB-C that B&O has, that braided one, which carries everything, because I had used it for different things. But no, it didn't do anything else for me as the phone was concerned. So
when did the Beosound Core come out?
Oh Christ, 2011? No, probably earlier. because it wasn't the direct. 2013 probably, because it wasn't the direct replacement. We had the Playmaker, then the Essence, then the Essence Mark II came out, and then Playmaker, then the a Core. But I think, Sandeep, you're right that your guess is there's some sort of an industry standard going on, and I think it's the European Union agreement that everything has to have a USB-C of some sorts in there, maybe, and therefore, to save on sockets, I guess they go that way.
I'm just thinking, like, because the Core is the DPL out, right? And that was for future use. It's still not. We're still not in the future, apparently.
I don't think it'll ever be. I don't think we'll ever be in the future or live in the time where Core is going to be DPL. There's no way.
I'm with Michael Christians. I'm also not the biggest fan of using like USB-C to 3.5mm to get a record player plugged in, because then you probably need to go from 3.5 to RCA again, and if you have a Beogram, then you need to go to DIN again.
It's too many connectors, man. And to be honest, like, okay, so bringing that up as a topic, I did I did have a job that I went to basically bring the old 9000 to be compatible with the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no other way to do it than, have the client have two zones on the remote, where one is the theater and the other one is the 9000. So 9000 is BO4 AV, or BO4 audio, sorry. So you can go into the AV mode, the infrared mode, and control the 9000. I had to leave a shorting plug inside it, even though it's a Mark III. Every time you power cycle it, it comes out of the option. So it goes to option 0. So a shorting plug, and I put it in the power link out, because I couldn't get it going out of the aux. And I don't know if there's a problem with the soldering within the 9000 or whatever it is, but that aux output wasn't working properly. So I soldered that in, and then I soldered it into the master link cable, as far as the DIN goes to the master link, because that was the only wire that was going in to be used. From master link back to the set of RCAs, and then it goes to another set of RCAs that goes into the 3.5mm that goes into the USB-C on the goddamn theater, man. Too much interconnectivity, in my opinion. That's why I think that they should have gone with something like a line, just a regular 3.5mm jack.
Yeah, I mean, RCA would be tough to fit in there. Because RCA plugs are generally quite sizable, and if you buy nicer ones, they get even bigger because they're like gold plated and thicker and insulated.
That's right. I know. They got.
And then you'll be like, so what do you choose? Like 2 more speakers or your record player?
Right.
What is the loss in quality using USB-C versus analog? Nothing. Shouldn't be if you have a decent cable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different connector. It's just essentially you're not changing the signal, you're changing the connector type the signal goes through. But since you do that 3 times, you could have
potential loss.
Yeah, because the connectors are never as solid as a wire is. I guess you could potentially, if you have like Steve soldering hands, like get a USB C plug that you solder up to go to RCA or something like that, or DIN.
Yeah,
because it's no signal change; it's a connector change.
Yes, it doesn't. There is no DAC inside that little, because actually, the one that B&O theater uses is the passive.
Yeah.
USB-C to 3.5mm. I bought Anchor brand, and it's active, and I can just wiggle it in the air like a helicopter, because it ain't doing shit when you plug it into the theater. It will not work.
Max asks, Willie, what's your go-to tracks for listening to setup for the first time?
Depeche Mode, definitely. Ultra, and it's a track 2. It's definitely one of those that I listen to. Depends on what people listen to as well, as far as the sound. I also listen to dubstep, so I have some things that really test the bass out. I have one of the ones that I always play is Sasha Sloan, Chasing Parties. Very, very good vocal, and when the deep bass rolls out, it's very surprising to people when they hear it for the first time. When it comes to movies, Deepwater Horizon for surround, fucking right. And
You're just a secret salesman for BP or Shell. No, actually for Shell because you hate BP.
they bought that. So
Deepwater Horizon, sponsored by Shell.
that, and also honestly, Saving Private Ryan, the opening scene is unbelievable if you have the everything set up properly. And when it comes to dubstep, there are few tracks that I like to hear.
Something I think younger people don't want to hear, essentially, but some of the best music to test new speakers with is classical music.
Yeah, that's a lot of doctors. Mostly people that are doctors as clients always
It's not
play
because of
classical
what the
music.
music is; it's the frequency ranges it's in, because it
Yeah,
goes really low to really high, and there's a lot of dynamics in like a big good orchestra, right? Like, I mean, in dubstep, everything is fake and you can tune it perfectly. But when you
of
have
course.
a guy with these sort of cotton ball sticks on a drum, that's that good. Right. Just
Well,
in
but
terms
then
of sound,
also,
like it may not be your thing to listen to, but
no,
how
I
it
understand that,
sound is
but
the
it also is those things I found over the years that are very much dependent on this recording sound engineer and how well his ear is developed versus what you are actually going to end up hearing off that album or CD or whatever.
sure,
I
but take
have a
it with you
lot
on
of
a
classical
USB
music.
stick or something.
Yeah, but I have a lot of classical music that I've acquired over time, with BNO or being around BNO and the client, especially in the yesteryears of BeoMaster, BeoSound 5, where people hard drived, and everybody shared their stuff. There is A B compared difference to the same Mozart song from recording in this hall to recording in that hall. So yeah, that's different. But for me, uh, Depeche Mode Ultra is very, very much a go-to album, and I've been listening to that CD or album since it came out, and I've heard it on every single speakers that I've ever listened to. And that's my baseline because I know what it's supposed to sound like, including the fact that I had drilled these songs to the ground with the '90s.
Yes.
But yeah, Depeche Mode Ultra Love Thieves is the first song that I always play because the mid range is so demanding at the very first 45, 50 seconds of the song that not many speakers and either or amplifiers can hold that frequency range correctly. So that's one of those things that I go to when that's what I always tune, because once that sounds good to me, I know for a fact it'll sound good for everything else, because I'm not gonna tune the system in a few different I guess genres of music. There's no point.
I mean, in the end, it comes down to what you know the best, right? Because there's only so much to say for a track that is optimal if you don't know it. You can't judge if it's optimal or not
That's
because
right.
you have no reference.
Hmm.
Like for me, it's a heck of a lot of like Fleetwood Mac, and specifically, what is it, the 2003 remaster?
Yeah, of the Rumors.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's an insanely good recording. Also, Michael Jackson is really good. People
Yes.
may laugh, but his recording and his persistence of perfection for the recording is unmatched, in my opinion, to this day when it comes to what technology they had available at the time that this was produced. Fudge, like to nowadays, where if even if the remastered stuff is awesome. And I kind of like that a lot of bands are doing the remaster of their records because it's a smart way to lawfully get out of paying
More
the
royalties.
royalty. Exactly, and also it makes the music sound better for the newer systems because
Yeah. Michael
So
Jackson, like Stranger in Moscow, it begins with that slow drumming, and but
for me, who is it?
that goes from left to right
Yes,
like super
yes.
quick. And if that
That Who
sounds
Is
like
It
it's
is a
just
good
coming from the
track.
middle, something's wrong.
Exactly. So it's yeah, there's so much good music that you can, but again, it's the music that you know the best. And that's what I tell people when I used to work as a salesman in B&O. I'm like, it doesn't matter what I play you. If you don't play your music, you will never know.
I can show you cool music, but I don't
Yeah,
know if you like it or not.
that's right. So it's better to do you bring your, I guess, CDs at the time and listen to it, or airplay your stuff. Make sure that we go to your settings, turn off the fucking equalizer, because that's one of the things that people bass right and whatever. I'm like, no, this is not your ear pods. Back in the day were shit. So no, we're gonna turn all of that off, and now you're gonna listen to the music unaltered through the B&O speakers.
I saw on Reddit the other day where somebody was saying that their A9 sounded bad, and in the end, it may have been a faulty speaker or something. But the screenshot with the settings they couldn't get right was treble +8 and bass +10.
I don't understand that. I honestly do not understand that in people. But when I had worked with Audi as a, whatever my position was, I walked motherfuckers through the car, right? Every time we sat down and I walked them through the radio, didn't matter if it was just a basic B&O or basic whatever they got or the advanced system. Everybody would go first thing, they go to the sound settings, treble all the way till the end of the screen. Same with the bass. I'm like, what are you doing? You haven't even heard the system. You're already screwing it up. Like, just give this a chance. Not everything has
Default
to
is
be
default for a
boomy.
reason.
There's a reason why these people spend 200 hours in the car per 50 hours per seat to develop the sound imaging that is spectacular. You don't need to put more. It's like, I don't know. Do you really need that much more salt on a steak in the restaurant? So, uh, you know what, Max, you're a little right there. Spotify's so far behind audio quality, and also I think Spotify is in trouble. Is in trouble because they're now, I think, they've tried to do the podcast thing. I don't think the podcast is really working out, other than the Joe Rogan's podcast, because there's a lot of channels that had dropped out from Spotify.
Well, they gave what is it, Harry and Harry Markle and Meghan Markle? They gave them like $30 million to do one or something like that.
It's silly, and they're throwing the money away. And if you actually, I watched a documentary about that on YouTube, which, like, it's so true. And they were basically talking about the financials of and the model of how the Spotify works. And I honestly don't believe that thing can make it past or up to the 2030 as far as the years are concerned. Deezer is a little different, also with the sound quality, and so is the title. But
the
I
funny
think
thing about
title.
Spotify is I only use it to essentially watch a podcast every so often, right?
Mhm.
And it's from the go, and because it's low data rate, because it's shit audio quality anyway.
Yes.
Coming from the Netherlands to here, you have to do a bunch of settings on the website differently, because it will not let you operate Spotify for longer than 2 weeks.
Really?
So I did that, and then I instantly noticed Spotify here is full of fucking ads. So I changed it back and use a VPN, and in the Netherlands, no ads. You can listen to like a whole Joe Rogan and you don't get a single ad.
Unless you have do you have a paid account in Netherlands?
No. It's a free account. Not a single ad.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, here it's just filled. It's beyond, like, dealable with.
Yes.
So I know, because like when I went to my girlfriend's house a few times and just watching YouTube, and she's got the free YouTube. It's like, come on with the commercials, man. Like, this is killing me, right? Like, just let me sign in. Fuck, this is ridiculous. I can't deal.
I mean, also, is it Joe Rogan got like what, $200 million for going to Spotify?
100
No, I think they said that was an underestimation by about 50%.
Oh, well then, there we go.
So,
I never
Yeah.
heard of Overcast, Michael. I don't know what the Overcast is, but I'll definitely look it up. Oh,
Leo says, I don't know if I'm getting old, but changing to Apple Music was difficult. I love the user experience of Spotify. Feels like my grandmother with her iPhone when I use Apple Music.
yeah.
I I've never paid for Spotify, so I don't get the praised user experience, right? Because every third track skip, you just go to a random track it wants you to listen to,
Mm.
which is really annoying because if you go back to a different song again.
Oh God. So it's like random crazy.
Yeah. So since I've never used it, I don't miss it. I think Deezer is quite nice to use. I haven't used Apple Music yet because I mean I already have one of their phones. I don't need to pay them more.
Yeah.
But I mean it's just they're just MP3s still. Like this is 20-year-old tech they're still using, right? Like it's and that's the high end you're paying for with Spotify, and it's like I don't care. Like it's not good enough.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Spotify. And you know what? When we migrate people from Spotify to Deezer Hi-Fi, they are astonished by the difference in quality of sound.
Yes.
Which I'm like, wow, you're listening to a CD versus basically a tape when it comes to data. So yeah, Deezer is absolutely awesome quality. But the Deezer Hi-Fi, you have to go to Deezer Hi-Fi to get the FLAC files, and then it's fine. Then I don't really think there's a point really to go to Tidal, and I don't know what the block is, but if Tidal is very high end and obviously you can do studio master, recordings and whatever. Why not have it built in as a service in a BNO app? And during the setup where you have to log into Deezer or Tidal, you just select your preferred streaming partner, and that's it. And then you don't have to have a Deezer, you don't have to change the icon. It still can be a musical note, but it just opens up the Tidal account versus the Deezer account. And since all the Mozart
Uh
platform is compatible, it should work. But I'm sure there's some sort of an agreement block or some nonsense that we're not aware of.
I just had a one of these brain farts where I'm not sure I should utter it because you know
Mm,
how yesterday and in the quarterly they were talking about potentially paying for software.
yeah.
Then you get B&O free, you get B&O aluminium, you get B&O gold.
Gold standard, bro.
You pay B&O like $10 a month to use the app, and oh, we're so grateful.
See, I don't know if it would not be possible to use like what Bio by Leo saying, to have the Apple Music in the BNO app. I don't know how much of an agreement would that be or
Again, a lot of
integration.
people ask for that on the Discord. So if you want that, ask for it on the Discord because some B&O employees have modding rights and they can see it and they can tell you why, yay or nay, if it's even possible.
But I think they should make it possible because, uh, you know what? I would say 90% of our clients use Apple Music because they usually have iPhones. So there is Apple Music because they've had the phones forever and ever. Amen. Yes, they might have a Deezer or they just get a Deezer because of the BNO, but it would be nice to have, like I said, just have a couple music streaming services to select from, or ability to select from, and have that choice that maybe it would be a conflictual in a way that you can't have more than one, right? But if you are using a streaming service that you have been using for a long time, it's probably just one. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, Sandeep is saying Apple Music won't allow it. I'm not entirely surprised by that. And if they were to allow it, it's probably with such huge caveats that you have to question do you want it as a company? I mean, that's
yeah,
essentially how we ended up with Deezer, isn't it?
yeah,
Because that's how initially Spotify was the thing. Because they were chill and whatever, we're an upstart, we don't care. Then they got big, and then it was like, no, we want XYZ, and B&O was like,
mm,
nope. And Deezer was then like, whatever, it's fine, we don't care.
hmm
Unfortunately, Deezer is the only one that actually stayed chill about it all.
See, Tech Teardown says Sonos is in their app. They must be paying Apple. Probably, but yeah, you're right. The Sonos does have it in the app. Sonos has a lot of things that B&O wishes, like HDMI audio integration
Yeah,
or sync.
they
Sync.
are also an enormous company compared to B&O.
Fair enough.
Look, if B&O, let's say, gets a license from Apple and the minimum cost is like 200 grand a year plus X amount of dollars per user that uses it. Well, first of all, you need to start harvesting all that user data, right?
Yes.
Then hope to God a few people don't just try it out and then not do it because you're still paying for it. Like, that's an investment for something that's like, I would like them to be able to do it, but I understand why not.
Hmm. I think before we start wishing for any of this crazy nonsense, I think we should just wish for the app to be working properly. First of all, that's step one, in my opinion.
I want them to make a lot of good stuff and a lot of money.
So I think, well, I think a lot of money is coming from the Beolab 8 sales if they will have them ready and available for sale. Because right now, it's the situation is critical, based on what I'm hearing and getting from everybody else around. I don't think we're going to see them for a few months, especially in other colors. I think the other colors will come in maybe March of 2024, February, if all that works. I don't know if they ran out of ink in the anodizing plants or whatever, gone down. Not enough
Maybe it's
charcoal.
because they sanctioned Russia again or something. I think in the latest sanctions, they're sanctioning
Aren't they
buttons
getting their
going
aluminium
from
from
Europe to
Australia?
Russia, as in literally buttons for clothing.
Aren't they getting the bauxite, or not the bauxite really, but the aluminium? Isn't it coming from Australia? Or at least the bauxite goes to Holland from Australia. Somewhere in there, it's built or made,
I
melted,
have no
smelted.
idea. Probably.
From what I was doing a little bit of a digging a long time ago, I think it's that's the way. So, and cost of power is gone skyrocket now, I guess, in Europe. So if you think about how many fucking megawatts of electricity they need to melt all that rock
Just
to
wait
get
till
the aluminium
winter.
out of it.
God, that was part of the reason for moving because our tiny apartment had an electricity cost of like 500 plus euro a month for electricity.
That's insanity.
Yeah. I mean, we have a giant house that's where it's super warm and the AC is on all the time because of all the remodel. Like half the insulation in the ceiling is gone,
Hmm.
and our massive bill was like $300, which is like 250 euro.
Yeah, I know it's insane. So I think that yeah, maybe that also has something to do with the price increase too. That the price of obtaining aluminium and B&O takes what, top 1 to 2% of the production grade quality because they know suckers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's for sure partially interest, right? Like even if you go to like oh, not sorry, interest, inflation. If you
Hmm.
go to like inflation monitors, I think the thousand uh, pounds you could spend in 2021, you need to now spend nearly £1,300 or
Pretty much.
1,250, something like that. So there's for sure that, but I also think, I mean, they literally come out to say we want wealthier customers.
Which is fine as long as the product works, man. Honestly, I don't disagree with it. Like, it's nice to have ambitions, but and aspirations, but in the same token, like, yes, I understand you stand behind your product, but it needs to work. It needs to work 100%.
Yes.
I understand, that there's an excuse. Like, you buy a Rolex, you're not buying it for the fact that it's going to be the most accurate watch you've ever owned. You buy a quartz movement for that because they will run a few minutes, but you're buying it for prestige more or less, and I guess the show of status. Yes, B&O I think is in a way show of status per se, but there's nothing more humbling than showing it off your friends and it doesn't work, and also embarrassing because then they look at you like, tough, fuck, you spend all this money for, man. I have a Sonos freaking play bar that I can throw it down my basement stairs and it'll still be playing as long as the optical cable's attached to it. So, that's the thing.
I
And
mean,
I think that's
personally,
the fire they're
I'm
playing
not
with.
even against the whole luxury thing. I think I said it 3 weeks in a row now. I really detest when it's done with existing products. Because if you want to go, like, Mercedes or BMWs or whatever were luxury cars for a long time, but when they wanted wealthier customers, they made more insane models. They didn't make the same model just more expensive for no apparent reason.
Well, no, then you have a Maybach and, from
Yes,
the Mercedes
exactly.
per se. So there is a
Or you
difference
made
in
an 8
step.
series with like an M5 engine because why
Mhm.
not, right? Like you make these 2.5 ton monsters that can still get 0 to 60 in like under 4 seconds because who cares about fuel price in this price category? That sort of thing. Like if you're going after like the ultra wealthy, like in my opinion, the 90s should have stayed more or less. I don't know if you go. I understand why they go up, but like where they are now is insane. They should have just put something above that. Like make it a custom order with for silly money.
Yes.
Like absolutely silly because it's also the idea of like I have like even if you could pay it easily now, right? If you just look at it and you look at like you're probably looking at a review, even if you had it to burn, like at least know a little bit, and then you see like, wait, this thing was half the price 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like what changed? Oh, nothing. Hmm.
Just price tag
Yeah.
and software. It works. You can tune them yourself. But we discontinued the microphone. I'm sorry. You know,
So
get
it's a bit. I don't know.
well. Everybody that laughed at me that said it was crazy. It was a pretty good investment, in my opinion, because I could still sell mine for this at least what I paid for, if not more. But I would never buy them again. So I don't. I'm not gonna sell them. I'll do whatever it takes not to sell them.
Edie, what are we
The
doing?
the cat's gonna end the podcast by stepping on Alt F4, and
Well, she did type yesterday or last week.
that's right. I just wonder what they're going to come up with for the 100th anniversary because that is a pretty big anniversary, and I don't know if they can afford to go with the bigger speakers than the 90s. Because how much they're gonna go like buy to? Like, are they
But
gonna
they
go to
don't need to
quarter?
be bigger, right? They just need to be something else. Like, if you want to go
But
super,
bigger in a sense, you know what I mean? Not bigger in size, but like bigger in sound. Not like they're gonna have to be different in some way. Maybe mechanized, motorized of some sorts. Like there's got to be some sort of a insane level of magic in order for them to
yeah, but we're talking
justify whatever
ultra
price tag
luxury.
they're gonna come up with. Or they're
Like,
gonna take the coward's way and they're just gonna come up with the 100th anniversary of fucking H90 H100s and here you guys go, pop the champagne, don't spill it in your headphones.
no, but like if you go for ultra luxury, yes, the sound needs to be somewhat there, but it doesn't need to be even on par with 90s necessarily. But I don't know, Bang & Olufsen laser etched in diamond backlit. $15,000 logo on a speaker, right? People will pay that shit if
Yeah.
because like, do you see this logo? It's diamond etched or literally etched in diamond and it's backlit. Like you can
Yeah.
go like you can go Tropic Thunder on them to not offend people. Because
But
apparently
yeah.
the R word is now offensive to a lot of
So
people. So I'll just say you can go Tropic Thunder on something like that.
but I don't know.
Or
I
make
don't know
it
what they're
gold
gonna come up with.
plated from the start, like actual gold, right?
Well, then what? Like that's unfeasible in my opinion. Like that's how much money are they gonna ask for that? $250,000 for a set of speakers all of a sudden? They sound the same as the ones for 180 or whatever. Or
Yes.
same as my for 100 at the time.
Or make something when you say exclusive, actually exclusive.
Well, they
Because
did the
the
Atelier
record
edition.
players are now what? They are like 400 of them sold, if not more.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's really exclusive with 99, and you end up with 400.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm honestly very curious. There's obviously no real talk about a new television set or any kind of that. Uh, I hope that it's not something that it's just, they're gonna go for ultra high end headphones as their 100th anniversary. I really hope that doesn't happen. And what they're gonna come up with, I don't think they have a choice other than a speaker or a set of speakers, or come up with also, I don't think that should be a 100th anniversary, but I think that they should come up with an audio master of some sort, some sort of
Yeah.
a central hub point in your home where you are able to control it with the BNO app, hopefully embedded, and you have the option to control all of your systems. And something that I think that they should also consider, that they should more or less somehow integrate the BeoLiving intelligence into that app as well, instead of having two.
Lauren says, I love my 1590 setup, but I don't think B&O can make it any better. They can always improve on the computing side, right? Like, since, well, it's probably computing from 2013 by now, because they came out in 2015.
And they were in development for 3 years, so 2012 is when they started looking at it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can make the room compensation and all that a lot better.
They can go definitely to higher hertz frequency range response.
I mean, will that be worth it? Maybe.
I would say it would be worth it.
But then they're probably going to Mozart them at the same time if they're ever going to make a Mark II. And then it's like, just imagine all the bass all the time, everywhere. If you have your 50s and 90s Mozart, and it's like, oh.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I'm really worried about, that the Mozart is definitely a platform that is not just going to go away. It's always going to be here now. Everything is going to be getting Mozart speaker platform.
I don't mind the platform. I mind the tuning that's paired with it.
Yeah.
Because it's so bass heavy. I don't understand why.
That's what the market and the research call for, if they do. I just don't know what, I don't know. To me, theater sounds great, to be honest, but it doesn't sound great out of the microphone tune. You have got to go inside and change values. I know people in B&O, I guess, would cringe about it, but from my personal experience, what the microphone does for tuning, it does it very well as far as compensating for the room, but it doesn't do good enough to, let's say, bring up the rear channels loud enough to be perceived the way you want them to be perceived in the surround setup, per se, where there's not enough fill in the background. So, and also, yeah, it tunes based off the weakest speaker in your system, right?
Yeah.
So God forbid you have a lap 4s as the rear channels, then your entire measurements are out to dinner. So not even lunch. It's too late for that. So you have to go in and tune it and crank it up a little bit. And then it works.
I'm actually wondering if I'm going to scare this cat when the 50s and stuff are finally in, because she's never heard them.
Maybe
like
she's
my
gonna
other
love them.
cats loved it, because especially when playing like something like Riders on the Storm by the Doors, right? Like they would always come in the room and like, where's the rain?
That's funny.
That's interesting.
So yeah, I think that once you get to 50s, it's gonna be, you're back moved in proper.
Yeah. I'm about, I don't know, 3-4 days away from that.
Right on.
I mean, where they are in place connected, maybe a bit longer, not entirely sure. Depends on a few things here and there. I mean, I pulled my first cable through the ceiling the other day. So
For?
Ethernet.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want my theater to be on Wi-Fi.
No, you shouldn't have it on Wi-Fi. It should be
also,
wired
the
in.
LG startup on Wi-Fi is really slow compared to Ethernet. Ethernet's just on. Like you turn the TV on and it's like, it's there, it works. Go for it. Like you
Yeah,
don't
they've
really
changed
have
it.
that like YouTube logo going, and
They had fixed it in two software versions ago. I think right now we're at 3.20.11, I believe, on the LG panels. And yeah, it's pretty snappy as well, I would say. It's not as snappy as obviously on the wired network, but it's better than waiting for this thing to go to network settings and reconnect to the Wi-Fi that you had paired it 3 months ago and every day since then. So I like that, but I don't have an option otherwise to wire anything here. So that's just the circumstance I'm in at this point.
my theater and 50s and stuff are still not set up and running. No, God, delay after delay after delay. It's I wish it was, but
The moment when you get to sit down in your couch with the cold beer and listen to a
I'm
tune
still
just come in
dealing
very
with that
quick.
couch issue.
Oh,
This,
for God's sakes.
I'm not even joking.
I am so sorry to peel that scab.
So yes, I would like to sit and watch something, but I mean, I have a chair, but we can't watch anything because I have a chair.
Fudge.
Like I have a couch that's just sitting there, but they refuse to give us a discount or pick it up.
Because it's damaged.
Yes. So it's like, God damn it. I mean, for the last,
You're gonna
5
do it
weeks
like
now, I've had a couch in my living room that I cannot use. If
You're
any
gonna
more
do it like
damage is
I've
done
done
by
it.
the cat, I've bought it at full price. And if I get rid of it, I still have bought it at full price. So we need to wait
to
for
an
the
agreement.
process to end. But it's goddamn ridiculous.
You're gonna do it like me the first time I watched the movie without any furniture. Just put a blanket and pillows on the ground. I had a Horizon at the time, which was terrible, but 90s saved it. And we watched, what was it, Sausage Party. I've never laughed so hard in my life watching that movie. It was freaking hilarious.
Yeah, so
And it was
it's
very well done acoustically too. Like it was yeah, it was pretty fun.
sorry, cat hair.
So but yeah, I'm looking forward to have you have set up everything. See what
Yeah,
parts
me
are missing.
too. I want all my 17s to be on the wall.
Do you have all the wall brackets for them? Of course.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I have 6 wall brackets and either 2 or 4 floor stands. I don't remember.
So are you doing the ceiling ones in the theater preset as height fronts and height rears?
Yeah, and wide or surround. So the way
Okay.
I have it set up is that there's outlets for height fronts, height rears, or surround height, right?
Hmm.
But then there's also much wider in the room there, which is essentially it's so wide that those could be your classic surround speakers.
Hmm. Are you putting the 18s in the mix as well at the back?
That's the idea.
Okay. That's gonna sound sick, bro.
So it's gonna be 7.x.4.
Nice. You're gonna put in the 19 as well, just to go full tilt, or you
Maybe,
don't
but
have,
it barely
or you
does
don't have
anything.
enough, or you don't have enough PL sockets at that point.
No, but why? So it's fine.
Oh yeah. What? How much are you hardwiring?
At least 4 of them.
Well, yeah, but which ones? Are you gonna do the 17s in the ceiling hardwire?
Probably not.
Just wire the 18s.
Yeah.
The 50s, of course, goes without saying.
Yeah. So, well, it also depends a bit on how good Weiser works here. Probably well.
I don't think you'll have any problems, my friend,
Yeah.
where you live. I don't think so. You're not beside a hospital, are you?
No.
No, so you're fine.
Like, hospitals are close by, but they're still like 5 miles away.
No, that's fine. Like I had clients that lived basically like across a rather large park from the hospital. Bro, unbelievable problems. After 5 o'clock, everything's full bars. Between 6 and 5,
Every
forget it.
time that MRI machine goes, oh, boom,
Oh
boom.
yeah, I just cut the phone off and everything. It was insane. So
Do not use receiver 1 or theater will not recognize speaker type. No, I don't
but
need
yeah,
to. All my speakers are natively WiSA.
yeah, but I think that you now are able to actually assign the role of the receiver one speaker connected to it based on what I was reading in the software updates on the 3.2.1.150 software. You should be able to assign, like if you have Beolab 11, it'll have here, if I had a transmitter, a receiver on it, which I'm actually gonna experiment with it. I think we have a couple of them in the warehouse. So I'll take one home and just to play with it and see what's up. So, yep.
It should work.
They fixed quite a bit of stuff with the theater when it comes to the measurements and microphone. But obviously, there's still no possibility to have the theater measure for height speakers because it does it in 2 dimensions only, or 1 dimension, I guess. It doesn't do it in 3 dimensions. So you just need to reassign those. But as far as the acoustic tuning for where they are, it works properly.
Something totally different. I was thinking about getting something for the missus's office because I saw
what, the Beosound 2 Atelier Edition?
No, older. I saw a Beosound Century in white. Like this is just a regular page for that was fully refurbished for was it about $225 or something?
That's not bad. Why, she's got tapes?
No, she got CDs.
Oh.
Like who knows? Maybe she's got tapes. I don't know, but I know for
Get
a
her
fact.
get her a Beosound 1, bro. What is that?
I kind of like this.
Okay, so you're getting it for you for her.
Oh, that's how she ends up with anything.
I hope she's not listening right now. You get a slipper flying at your face from the left side or right side, I guess.
But
so yeah,
I mean, but it's not a bad looking machine at all.
no, it's beautiful, but I think it's just a little bit dated.
Well, also,
but then again, it's CDs. I'm gonna have a problem with the laser mech soon and so on. I don't know. I find the Beosound 1 more sexy. That's just my opinion on it.
I mean, also her CDs are kind of like really not my thing, so that way she can keep it in the office. No touching my Beosound 2.
Ralph's asking, what are your thoughts on assigning 2 Beolab 9s as rear subwoofers? Why would you just not do them as full speakers, man? It's still going to push the bass to the full capability of those drivers, by the way. I have done a setup like that remotely because obviously I'm not in Calgary anymore, but I had a client that bought a theater and she had a set of Lab 9s that she bought from me with the Encore 10 years ago. And now she got in the theater and she's using the Lab 9s either as stereo on their own, but she's using them as rear channels for the theater. And once we finished tuning it, I think a day later, she actually texted me like, "Do you ever get noise complaints?" Because she's in the condo, and obviously she, I think, met her neighbors. So I would just put them as full range speakers, brother. There's no point. And I'm assuming that you have a theater, Ralph. I don't know what your setup is.
Yeah, unless you have something a lot more massive, but then why not just make them wide speakers or something like that? Like even if you, I don't know, let's say you have 90s and 50s, just make them surround speakers, rear speakers, make them just join the party.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use them as subs, but why?
It makes no sense.
I mean,
to
unless
me.
you
I
have
wouldn't
one, which I understand, like if one dies, right? Like, and you
Yeah.
only have one left, then sure, understand. But if you have a working set, just
use them as a working set, bro.
yeah.
That's my suggestion to you. Yeah. What a shitty weather, man. All weekend is raining. It's such a pity.
I felt cold here last weekend, and it was 21°C.
Wow.
Crazy.
I'm debating if it wasn't shitty today or yesterday as well, I would have gone to the storage, and I was hell bent on digging out the lab ones.
I was actually cold, right? Like I was like, oh, it's chilly out, and then I looked at the
It's
temperature.
21, bro.
It's like I've acclimatized because I would have been hot like 6 months ago.
Beo says, does the Beolab 9s ever fail? I actually did have a set that came to the store, but then again, this is Montreal, and power outages are as common as the sun and as the sun come out. It's it's a power supply that went on them. It wasn't the
Tweeter.
crossover amplifier board. It was just the power supply, which is huge, by the way, in those speakers. And yeah, I haven't had. The only thing you can blow on them really is the tweeter, but the tweeter is well, not unfortunately, but the tweeter is built better than the lap fives. It's got a better tweeter in it, so you're more likely to cook the tweeter off on the fives before you cook the tweeters off in the nines, based on my personal experience. So that's how I found out.
So yes, they fail. Like everything fails, but you kind of have to try.
Yeah, you really gotta push them hard, and it has to be specific music that is very dynamic. Like
Also, if you never dust them, like if you never take the dust out of the cooling fins or stuff like that,
that makes,
like
yeah,
just neglect.
yeah. It depends where you live. If you have them pointing towards the sun every day, as the backs,
Or I'm
then they,
home now, I can go to max volume
yeah, that's never good.
from a cold start, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's never good for them. But otherwise, no, I haven't seen really that many Lab 9s failing, to be honest with you. The one speaker that I had never seen really go is Beolab 2. I think that is the most solid speaker that B&O has ever constructed. I've never seen them. I've seen them dropped, but never stopped working. So yeah, that's a solid ass speaker. Everything else, give it a thought. The ones that I haven't really seen for service, but I don't think that as many been sold, is Beolab 12 dash whatever series. I haven't seen many of those. I haven't seen many 18s come through. I've seen two of them in Calgary that we had, but one had a YSA module fail, and the other one was a power supply issue.
Yeah, but the speakers itself don't go.
No,
It's not the crossovers or something that burns off. The
the
nines are
worst the
similarly
worst
dumb. Or...
speaker, yeah, the worst speaker that the BNO has ever had as far as the failures ratio to success ratio would be Beolab 11. Every single one of them
the
that we had
mini
ever
sub.
sold, it went to hell, and amplifier board needed to be replaced with the seal rubber gasket because I don't mess around. So that's the worst. That would be the worst speaker. Is that second after that would be Beolab 4s, and then I don't know what else I would say. At this point, I would say Beolab 5s because they're starting to get really hard to come by as far as the replacement chassis parts. And if you send them to Denmark, then it takes months, more or less, not weeks, to get them back. Depends if you want your chassis to come back, because if you go for an exchange module program, you can get them back with the sticky paint in the back, right? Because we know the touch soft paint goes to shit, and they
Yeah.
just don't send you yours back. They just send you a repaired one. That's beautiful. Is that Wozniacki or Wozniacki, whatever house?
Yes.
I like the
It's an
90s with
apartment,
the black.
apparently.
That's beautiful. I like the 90s with the black anthracite rings. That looks sick. That
Yes.
looks really sick.
It's an apartment, apparently.
It's funny because they actually were asking about removing the bottom of the harmony because you can see it when it opens up. Well, it's mounted too high, in my opinion. For that mantle should have never been there because it's not even a fireplace. It should have been more or less almost to the ground.
Yes.
I understand the architectural feature and
But again,
design
this is
center.
one of these couches where, like, you sit like this.
Yes. Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's easier to watch TV over there than it is over there.
yeah. But unfortunately, you can't bypass the fact that you can see the bottom of the feet where the floor stand mounts or would have mounted.
Just learn Photoshop, and every time you take a picture of your house,
take it out, but you can always see it. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful setup. What do they got? 50s for the rears? Nice.
Yeah.
That's
And the
sick.
cloth matches the fabric of the couch.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's still the 90s cloth, right? It's not the same cloth.
On,
Like,
on the 90s, it's 90s, yes. On the 50s, it's the cloth of the couch.
oh, I guess the tweeter's not covered. Let me grab my water.
Yeah, I don't want to watch TV that high either. What is it? Epiphany. But it seems so normal here in North America that
Yeah,
like the
it's
mandatory
very,
place essentially for interior designers to hang your TV is above the fireplace.
yeah, because that's usually the centerpiece of the bloody house too, or a living room rather.
I mean, the amount of houses I've seen where like you have, I don't know, let's say 9-foot ceilings, so your ceiling is what, 2 meters 70 tall, and the top of your TV is at like 2 meter or so high. It's like sometimes higher even I've seen. And it's like, so the bottom of, well, the middle of your screen is not even when like I'm 6'3" and I look straight forward, it's still not the middle of the TV. It's like, Jesus Christ.
See, I think that when this opens up, the TV display itself is relatively centered within the entire marble slab. I think that's what
Yeah.
that's what the goal was when it was on. But you know, it's just sad how
I
it's
should have
done.
taken that out.
It should have been a theater, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they didn't have one at the time when they made this.
Fair enough. So yeah, I no, it's still cool. You know what? To each their own. You know, I don't live in that house. So I don't have a problem installing it the way the people want it. I personally would have set it on the ground. That's my opinion. And you know, if you want it fucking 2 inches off the ceiling, at the end of the day, you're flipping the check to pay me to do it. So I will do it.
Can
My
you
opinion
imagine
at that
cutting
point.
into that marble to hide the wires?
Oh, it's not something that I would be doing. That's the people that put that shit on. That's the people I would call, as I always did, to drill the holes. They have far more superior equipment to deal with that than me. No matter how much cool Milwaukee stuff I have, yes, I can buy bits, and you know I can do water cooling as well because it's not really that big of a deal. You know, I have a wet dry vacuum, but it's the fact that if that fucker cracks, man, ooh, I'd rather have them crack it than me.
Yes. Your
So
insurance, not mine.
so that's it. They are towed in kind of weird, those 18s, I would say. They're pointing out towards the walls. I don't know if that's logical or not, but
Set up for looks, I think.
Still not a bad bar.
No.
I'd have a bourbon there. Fuck.
One thing I kind of don't understand, which seems to be unlike an American and a rich American thing, is you get these very high-end couches that are essentially beds, but we don't want to call it a bed, so we just add some like backrest on it.
Yeah. That's nice. I like that. That's a rear channel, I think.
Yeah, it is. But like, maybe it's just me, right? But I like when I'm sitting, I would like to actually sit because I know what sitting is. I don't very much often like to lay.
It's gotta be hard on your neck after a while too, just sitting like this, you know.
Yeah. It's not the most charming look, like from a side profile. Like you look at your missus and you go, ugh.
Since when do you get 4 chins on? Shit. So yeah, I don't know. I would live in there, but I would do it differently. But then again, now we're talking again the never-ending god power of interior designer, right? That's the whole point of it. That you offset that to somebody that kind of looks at it only from the look perspective, not actual functionality or how we look at it and how we should do it or how we would have done it. So that's I think those 28s are way too far apart, but maybe that's just a super wide angle shot. So
Again, also way too high.
Yeah.
Like,
But then again, they're centered with the wall type of thing, right? That's
yeah,
the whole.
I mean the tweeter is
Yeah,
like
there is a
they.
theater in there, bro.
Yeah. Huh. Like also in this left picture, you can see uh, how high the the harmony is when open.
I don't see it yet.
Epiphany Worlds. Can you say what codecs Beolab 90s play when you have 6 of them in Blu-ray, for example? That's not how any of that works. It depends on what codec the Blu-ray is. The speakers will just produce the sound which is allocated. The codec is on the disc.
And
like that can be
video processing, basically, or the sound engine.
Yeah, but the
speakers have
that
nothing
can
to do
be
with it.
PCM, it can be LPCM, it can be Atmos, it can be whatever, but that's up to your decoder.
Yeah.
Like the speaker doesn't do the codecs. It's your Blu-ray disc player and or your AV system that sends out the signal from the codec.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a difference between BeoVision and Beosound Theater now, because Theater does have the Atmos support, where the BeoVisions did not. They just did
it
it
can be
through
Dolby
a
Digital, it can be Dolby Digital Plus, it can be a variety of things.
Yeah.
Like also Blu-ray, I don't think is standardized with an audio codec.
And also, like if you were to play it through the B&O TV, that point one would fall off, because if you have 6 Beolab 90s, which I'm sure you're doing pretty well at that point, you wouldn't really worry about that little Beolab 19 trying to woof around 3 pairs of 90s. I thought that would be just non-existent effect. I don't even think that anything would be redirected
that's not a codec,
to it.
though.
No, that's all done through the processing.
Yeah.
So.
Hey,
Anders.
I mean, Blu-ray can also be DTS and all its varieties thereof.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Blu-ray can even be 2.0.
Yeah, the 90s wouldn't run DTHD, whatever format you plug into them, because you're actually plugging just analog signal into them power link wise, or whichever other analog, because you're not going to be using an amplified signal going into them, first of all, and I don't think you're going to be using SPDIF, because that's just stereo. So
yeah, but even so, again, the format doesn't matter to the speakers. It matters
it matters to the
audio
decoder
processor.
Yeah, it matters to the audio processor in whatever equipment you're feeding that speaker with, because then it's just going analog. So it's up mixing and down mixing, I guess, in B&O's terms now.
Yeah, so I would say watch a YouTube video first on how this works, because before you get through the whole basics of that, like I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but it's just not how that works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like speakers don't do codecs unless you're looking at sound bars or something like that, but it's not actually the speaker array of the sound bar doing the codec. It's the audio processor.
The only speakers that do the codec per se, as you could call it, that would be the Mozart platform stereo paired, where the DACs are built directly onto the machine.
Yeah, but when you're streaming to them directly.
But you're streaming to them directly. It's not something that you can use them to be streamed to as DTS, because then it's WISA, which is wireless power link. Yeah. Yes, it's digital signal, but it's still, the signal is still coming from a processor that allocates each channel to what to play at what time and how loud. Does that make sense?
Yes, to me it does.
Yeah, so that's that's how that works. It really doesn't matter. What matters is what DAC or digital audio converter is, or what grade of quality that is, and also the surround processor, how good it is. That's what matters before the line output to each speaker or power link out goes in to the speaker. And especially for the 90s and 50s, because these will very much expose poor recordings per se. That's the worst gift you can give yourself. Start listening to the older music on 90s or 50s, where they really expose the the engineering studio, more or less, because that's what you're essentially listening to. That's how
I
they heard it.
I don't think many modern TVs, even the most expensive ones, have a surround sound decoder built in.
No, I guess the LG ones do with the WiSA stick, right? The USB WiSA stick you can plug in, and you can do up to 5.1 type of thing, or 5 channel surround with the
Yeah, but
WiSA
just
speakers.
but
But
again, the stick is doing the allocation of channels. It's not the TV.
exactly.
And also that LG branded WiSA stick is either I think only 2.1 or 5.1.
That's right. You don't have any other choice.
Yeah, and with the 5.1, you think, well, I don't need all the channels. Yes, you do. Otherwise, it doesn't really work well.
Yes. So that's the catch-22. Where if it's in a theater and how you have the abilities that you have in tuning each channel individually, assigning the role individually, loudness, crossover levels, this and that, redirection stuff, all of that can be modified and modulated. Where in a lot of receivers, I haven't come across those menus other than distance and dB levels. That's it.
I
So
mean,
and
the only
role
really
allocation.
other TV brand I'm aware of that has surround sound decoding and allocation built in like B&O does is Loa. Or
Yeah,
Loa, or however you say it.
Luba, whatever. It's
Yeah.
are they still around again or
Yes.
no? Somebody bought them and bring them back up to life. Okay.
Yeah, twice over now, but now they have somebody with backing that has a enormous amount of money.
Okay.
And I think they're getting to the point where they're taking over a bunch of B&O shops in Australia.
Oh, and is that right?
Yeah, because apparently the B&O Australia isn't doing so hot.
Yeah, they got some interesting concepts though, I would say.
Yeah, I mean they claim to be pretty old, right? When they were started in like 1984 or something.
Yeah, which is respectable compared to the fact that they're basically just building on other people's technology, right? Because they're not building their own panels.
Yeah, nobody is really.
Nobody is really at this point anymore. So those days are long gone. But
I mean, also,
it's
by the way,
still
coming back to it, if you have whatever the Samsung Micro LED 130 inch, like, what are you going to do for a sensor channel? Because you can't use 90s for that.
no.
And if it even has speakers, they're going to be shit compared.
And if you can afford the 90s, I'm sure you can squeeze for a theater to properly manage your sound.
Yeah.
That would be,
I
the
mean,
proper way to
you
go
can go
about
the
it.
AVR route, which is fine, but then you just still need to find a speaker to somewhat match it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably suggest a 7.4 at this point.
Yeah, that would be still. It's not the best, but it's the only
Yeah,
one.
but what's available otherwise, right?
Nothing. There's really nothing available
Like a
otherwise.
7.1, 7.2, 7.6 is out of tune with 90s for sure.
Well, I think the 7.4 would be too.
Sure, but like at least it's more open because of the alt and stuff like that. It's more meant as a center channel.
Well, yeah, it's tuned towards
Yeah.
speech. So center channel is very important in surround. That's definitely like the phantom channels. They kind of work, but it's no, that's just it doesn't work as well as regular what's it called, surround setup would.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100%. But
I mean, I guess with 90s, a center becomes less important because you can fake it, but
well, 90s imaging is so insane that you don't really need a center channel unless you have people in the room and you are going out of the narrow mode and you switch it to wide. Then the center channel does become more important. But if
I only
it's
have
just
one chair, so I'm good.
if you're one chair, no friends, bro, it is nonsensical. Like if once I get to Florida or wherever I end up, and I don't think I'm even gonna use the theater for center channel. I'm gonna try not to see what it does and see if it keeps up. It should keep up without a route.
The theater
I'm
does
certain
for
of it.
sure.
Theater will keep up, no problem.
Look, where the Avant was sort of, the theater doesn't have that problem.
No,
Like,
No, I've heard it before and it didn't, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but not in this
guy
apartment
says
because I
switch
can't
the
fit them through.
Eclipse sound bit off when he has his 90s, when he had the Eclipse. Sorry, the theater can just about keep up with 90s.
Yeah,
That's what I essentially heard. I mean, but you also have to go silly loud before that becomes an issue.
hmm yeah. I had my Avant center channel turned off. I did get used to it over time, by tuning it as Jeff Martin was talking about with the Hendrix interview. That made a huge improvement, but I had to have them juiced up pretty good in order for them to go for the TV to compete with the 90s as far as the center channel goes for movies. But when it comes to music, that was all shut right off. It was only the 90s. I even the 18s turn them off. No point.
By the way, don't be
So
sorry for asking things you thought you understood, and it's fine to answer or to ask for things to understand them better, right?
that's right. If you don't ask, you don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Like, there's not really such a thing as a dumb question unless you've asked it before, like, many times.
but yeah, no, that's no problem for us to help you out and explain. Just don't be shy.
Yeah,
It's all good.
that goes for everybody.
Yeah, we're here to help at the end of the day. And we've been doing it, I guess, for 272 podcasts in a row. So
Yeah, people, I'm calling it for today. Come join our Discord and that sort of thing. If you have more questions, there's tons of people that can help you out with all sorts of things over there, and also let BNO know what's going on with your app and things. And like and
they care
subscribe and
now.
all
They
that.
read it. So
Yeah,
let's do it.
like and subscribe and all that jazz. Thank you, Harry, Mark, and
Much appreciated.
yes, and see you all next week, and hopefully I'll have some working speakers on our TV.
And there we go.
I've watched one thing since I've moved here.
Which is what?
An old, like a film on my phone. Like,
Oh God.
so I haven't watched anything in like 6 months nearly now. So yeah, looking forward to that. Also, Band of Brothers is now on Netflix.
Sick.
So if you want some good surround sound,
Go
watch
there.
that on Netflix. Anyway, bye.
Take care. Thanks for watching.